minute and then we'll start. Cool. So we are just about to start in just a moment. Yes. Let me bring a glass of water because this is going to be a bit long. Well, I'll join in just a moment. Yes. So we have 1.6K people there. Let's go ahead and start with the session. Cool. So I will stop the chat because I know if chat is there, everyone would be distracting everyone else. So we'll stop the chat and people, everyone should go ahead and make sure that you are focusing on the session. Okay. If you have already decided to put your hard earned time on a weekend that you could have spent with your family, with us, make sure that you are utilizing this time with complete focus. Okay. What you need is focus. What you need is attention, right? So let me just go ahead. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Just give me a heads up if I'm audible. Yes, amazing. Cool. Yes. So let me start sharing my screen. I hope everyone is able to see my screen. And before I could show you anything, let me start with the slides. Yes. So let me start with the slides. The name of the session is the AI Sprint. This is a 4-day session that we are going to conduct. And in this session, we are going to make sure that we are able to help you understand how to leverage AI, not only for your productivity, but also how to build products with AI and for AI, right? So if you go ahead and listen to all of these sessions, implement what I'm trying to tell you, do all the practical exercises, then I'm sure you will be able to do two things. First is you'll be able to understand how you can use AI in order to make yourself more productive. And second part is how you can build AI-based product. By AI-based products, I'm talking about products such as ChatGPT, Claude, Granula, Gamma AI. I'm sure you might have used so many AI products out there, right? So these are the two outcomes from these 4 sessions. Okay, but before I could talk about AI and machine learning and LLMs and neural networks and uh, different kind of product mental models and AI models, I want to give you the agenda for the sessions. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about. Today is session number 1. Today is session number 1. So we are going to talk about the orientation. Yes, just give me a moment. Just give me one moment. Oh, there are too many people, 1800 so far. Cool. Yes. So in today's session, we are going to talk about 5 important things. I'll give you a simple orientation. I'll help you understand the introduction to GenAI and how it is different from the predictive AI. Then we'll talk about the LLM economy, like what is the value pyramid in the LLM economy. And then I'll talk about type of AI PMs so that you are able to decide where you want to go. And then eventually I'll go ahead and talk about the intricacies of building an LLM model. Okay, this is going to be the foundation session today so that you are understanding how to build AI product. This is going to be your foundation. After that, we will talk about the depth of core AI product management. And after that, we will talk about how do you build AI capabilities on the top of your products. And eventually, we will talk about some hands-on exercises so that you are able to not only learn about AI, but also able to get a job as an AI product manager. Understand, AI product manager is not a designation that you will search for AI product manager, you are going to find it. The product manager who are these days are supposed to know about AI, are supposed to leverage AI in their workforces. Okay, so that is the intent of the session. These are the 4 sessions that we are going to conduct. Every session is connected to everyone else. So make sure that you are watching this, or if you are watching this on YouTube, or if you are watching this as a recording, make sure that you are watching this one by one, because we are going to build the context one by one, right? But before I could go ahead and start with all the intricacies, let me tell you 3 things to remember, or 3 practices. This will set the expectations right. Okay, listen to this. These 3 things are the most important part in all the 4 days. Okay, so please listen to this very carefully. The number one part is, yes, the number one part is you should make sure, there are too many tabs. Yes, cool. So the number one thing that you need to remember is make sure that you focus on mindset over tactics. What does it mean? Understand, the first principles of product management never changes, which is you have to focus on the problem, you have to focus on the user, you have to understand about your business rather than focusing on the solutions. Understand, AI is a solution. AI is a technology. A technology is always a solution. But it does not mean that if you have understood a technology, you should try to retrofit that technology in each and every use case. Okay, so always understand that every time I'm going to teach you something, I'll start with the problem and then I will move towards the solution. Okay, and whatever I'm going to teach you in the session, I'm going to teach you RAG, I'm going to teach you fine tuning, I'm going to teach you how LLMs work. But those are only tactics. These things were not there 4 years ago, and they might not be working in the same way, maybe a couple of years down the line. So I do not want you to focus on the tactics. Yes, I'm going to teach you the tactics because they are going to give you short-term success. But in the long run, you should always focus on the mindset. Okay, so first thing is mindset, and the mindset means you need to make sure that you are able to celebrate your curiosity. Okay, I can understand there are many people who are coming from non-tech backgrounds. They have not heard of neural networks and they might be struggling in all of these things. Okay, but understand, if you need to develop any kind of talent, remember the definition of talent. Talent is pursued curiosity. The curiosity that is being pursued by you is called as talent. Okay, many people fail at a job that what they do is, let's say you are here right now, when you have no skills, right? And then because you don't have any skills, when you try to learn skills, you want to move from no skills to skills. Okay, and then you get some kind of discomfort. You get some kind of inconfidence. And you generally quit at this particular inconfidence. Okay, always understand, in order to meet between the no skills and the skill path, there is always going to be discomfort. You are going to get confused. You are going to get inconfident in yourself. But you have to still pursue that path. It does not magically happen that right now you don't have any skills and next day you have all the skills possible. Right? So there has to be a path of discomfort, and it is my responsibility to give you that discomfort. Okay, so this is the second part, which is celebrate curiosity. What we are looking for PMs these days is curiosity. Don't try to just go ahead and solve the problem that are already solved. Try to pursue some harder problems. Follow your curiosity, and your curiosity is going to take you to multiple levels. So my intent in this program is to give you some kind of discomfort and to show you a direction, that this is the framework in which you can think. This is the mental model. Now you have to do the work by yourself. Right? I'm not going to teach you Python or JavaScript or give you like a very detailed case study and I'm going to promise you that this is how it is going to happen forever. No. I will give you some kind of direction, and then it is your responsibility to follow your curiosity. If you're not curious, nothing will happen. Okay, so that is the second part. And also, the first part is not only pursue, but celebrate. If you are a part of these sessions, make sure that you are celebrating this, which is go ahead, talk to your friends about it. Go ahead and do all the assignments that we give you. Consider it like these 2 weeks as the festive period that is going on in your life. Everyone right now is completely sure that in the long run, there are so many things that are going to be taken over by AI. So if you want to be at the forefront, you want to play AI, you just have to spend these 2 weeks with all of your efforts. Celebrate it like a festival. Go ahead, whatever you're learning in the sessions, post it on LinkedIn so that people are understanding and you are also going ahead and getting motivated about this. So celebrate these 2 weeks like a festival that you are celebrating. Whatever you are learning, you have to post it online so that you are able to get feedback, you are able to put yourself out there. Okay, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, right? And the next part is, which is the most important part, me or anyone other person in the world can only give you information. Me or any other person in the world can only give you information. I can tell you few concepts. I can give you some frameworks. I can also give you some case studies. But the challenges that you are going to find in the world are going to be entirely different. Right? So what you need to do is you do not need information. What you need is knowledge. Information is never enough. You need knowledge so that if I'm able to give you a new problem statement, you should be able to crack that and solve that problem as well. Right? And to convert information into knowledge, what do you need? Is action and reflection. Which is, I tell you something. First, you have to internalize it. You have to remember it. You have to take act on it. Right? You have to take action on it. And once you have taken the action, don't leave it there. Go ahead and do some reflection. Understand, am I going in the right direction or not? And in the end of the session today, I'm going to tell you a trick through which you should be able to do a very honest and a very objective reflection. Reflection means giving yourself feedback. Right? So these are the three things. I will repeat them again. Number one thing is please focus on mindset over tactics. What tactics I'm going to tell you today about LLMs and all, they can change in the future, but the fundamentals will remain the same. So focus on the mindset. Second is celebrate curiosity. Celebrate these 4 days of the AI sprint as a festival so that you are able to go ahead and put yourself out there. Okay, without curiosity, nothing worthwhile could be learned. Okay, I can go ahead and give you all the content in the world. I can give you all the prizes in the world. But if you are not curious from inside, that will not happen. And understand, you can create curiosity. How? You go ahead and start talking about it. When people will ask you questions, when you'll follow this curiosity, you will understand that yes, you are now building upon this curiosity. And the third part is information to knowledge. Make sure that all the exercises that I'm going to give you, you do it on time so that you are able to pursue things nicely. And then in the end of the today's session, I'm going to tell you how to do better reflection. Okay, so this is about the three things. One more important part, that in these 4 sessions, you might feel like you are drinking from a fire hose. What it means? When you drink from a fire hose, even if you are very thirsty, you feel very much overwhelmed. Right? You feel very much overwhelmed. Right? You want to drink, but so much water is coming at you. Right? This will happen in these 4 days. Right? This will happen in these 4 days. Okay. So my request to everyone is, at the end of the session today, I will also give you recordings of the session. This will also be published on YouTube. I will also give you all the notes. I will give you all the slides. It is your responsibility that even if your network is up or down or you're not able to focus on the session, make sure that you are going ahead and repeating the content again and again. And additionally, in the 3rd week, I am going to do, after these sessions are done, I'm going to do an additional session where everyone who has submitted the feedback, they would be invited. And I will take a, let's say, 2 or 3 hour long question and answer session. So that if there is any gap that is in your mind, you are confused about something, you can still go ahead and ask us question. Last time when we did this, it was about 3.5 hours long. Okay, so these are the things that I need to tell you. I hope the bar is now set. Okay. Understand this course is like a gym. You have taken a gym subscription, but the mentor or the coach is not going to go ahead and do the push-ups for you. He is not going to eat good food for you. That is what you need to do. You have to make your sacrifice. I can only give you the guidance. I can only give you the role. Right? Cool. So now I believe all the context is set. Everyone, a quick go ahead in the chat if you are ready to go ahead with today's session. Everyone, please. Yes. So we already have 2,400 folks join. Amazing. Cool. Let's go ahead. Cool. Let's go ahead. Yes. So, yes, I will go ahead and start with a very simple understanding of what is product discovery. Okay. That is where everything starts. Yes. So, whenever you are working as a product manager or whenever you are working as an entrepreneur, you are going to start from here. Okay. So you might be a product manager or a product leader or an entrepreneur. You might have some kind of business strategy. Business strategy as in we want to increase revenue. We want to, or let's say business goal, we want to increase revenue. We want to increase retention. We need to go ahead and maybe create a new product, or we need to solve this customer problem. Okay. There could be any kind of business strategy. So from business strategy, you are going to get some kind of inspiration, some kind of ideas, right? Second is, you are also going to talk to your users. You will do user research. Always remember, this is the first principle or the rule of product management. The purpose of a PM, no matter you are an AI PM, data PM, growth PM, any kind of PM, you have only one purpose. Your purpose is to bring business outcomes. Your purpose is to bring business outcomes. But business outcomes will not happen by themselves. Business outcomes means more retention, more money, more revenue, more users. All of this will come from the users, right? So your purpose also becomes solve user problems or solve stakeholder problems. When you are a product manager for a B2C company, as in you are building product for the customers, then you are solving it for users. Sometimes you are an internal product manager or an inbound product manager where you are creating products for your own team. So those stakeholders are your users. Okay. So as a product manager, always remember everything else in the world can change, but this definition never changes. As a product manager, you are responsible to bring the business outcomes and solve user problems. Okay. Everyone, a quick yes or no if you are able to understand this simple definition of product management. Bring business outcomes and solve user problems. This is the purpose of a product manager to exist. Very good. Yes. Very good. Now, once you have understood this, now what will happen is you will get some problems from the business. You will get some problems from the users. Okay. You will also do some kind of market research. Market research means what is happening in your product ecosystem. Let's say if you are working in a fintech organization, what is happening in the regulations? Right now, gaming has been banned in India. Real money gaming has been banned in India. So there are some changes in the ecosystem. So you as a product manager should be aware what is happening. From there also, you can get some ideas and inspirations. Similarly, you are also going to do some competitive research. So ecosystem understanding and competitive research means market research, right? After this, you are also going to collect data. So either you can collect data by people using your product, or you can go ahead and collect data from some secondary resources such as research papers and research repositories, second party data. Okay. So you have the business strategy, You are getting data from the users by talking to them, interacting with them. You are doing the market research. You are collecting data. Apart from this, you are also working at a decent enough company, so you will have some good stakeholders, such as marketing people, sales people, engineers, designers, data scientists. These people are also these people are also having some understanding about the users and what are the problems that they can face. So here also you are going to collect some ideas, some problems, or what you can do for your customers. Right. And eventually, apart from this, you as a PM or a founder or an entrepreneur would also have some kind of domain or some kind of user understanding. For example, Mark Zuckerberg was a student himself at Harvard when he created Facebook, which was created for the same kind of audience. So he was able to understand what are the problems that I am facing. Right. So from these things, you are going to come up with a lot of inspiration. So what is this? This is actually the incoming flows of ideas and problems that you can solve for your customers. So always remember that as a product manager, as an entrepreneur, you always have to keep your eyes and your ears open about what is happening in the business, what the users want, what the market is going towards, collecting data, understanding stakeholders, and improving your own expertise. Okay, now you might have collected a lot of problems. Understand this flow. Even if you are an AI product manager or any kind of product manager, it is going to remain the same. You might use different kind of tools. Your perspective might be different, but the fundamentals are same. You have to look at all of these resources in order to go ahead and get good kind of ideas. So now what you have done, you have filled a bucket of problems. And understand, you will not solve every problem because ideas can come from anywhere. That does not mean that all the ideas are important enough. So you will go ahead and do some validation. You will do some more research. You will talk to more people. You will see if the idea aligns with the business. Understand, users can want anything, but you cannot do everything, right? So you are going to go ahead and understand if it aligns with the business strategy. Do you have the resources or not? Right? So you are going to have a bucket of problems. Now the AI angle comes. Once you have a bucket of problems, once you have the bucket of problems, now once you have validated the problems, you are sure that you have to solve these problems. These are important enough problems. Then the next step becomes finding these solutions. When you are starting on a new idea, or when you are just building a product or adding the features to the product, my personal recommendation is that most of your time should be spent here, understanding and detailing and collecting the problems. Once you are sure that this is an important problem to solve, then only you are going to go to the solutions part. Right? And understand that AI is one of the solutions. There are some problems that people are facing. AI happens to solve it really, really well, much better than other solutions. That is where AI comes. Okay, so you have problems. Problems are always there. Whether you are an old company, new company, 100 years later, people will always face problems. As a product manager, you have to understand that product works, not because of let's say, a unique technology or something, but because it solves an important problem in the life of the user. So that is the first principle. After that, we are going to come to solutions. Right? Now, I have told you that now we have came to solution. Now I will introduce you to what is possible with AI. Okay. So now everyone tell me a yes or no in the chat if you are able to understand the concept of problem first mentality. Problem first mentality. If you start with AI, then the problem is that you will try to solve every problem with AI. Maybe it might be possible that that is not even a good enough problem. Right? Yes, wonderful. You guys are able to understand very quickly. Amazing, amazing, cool. So let me go ahead and talk about generative versus predictive AI. Okay. Before 2022, 2023, before GPT was released, GPT-3 was released, most of the AI that we were seeing was based on something called as predictive AI, because now it is not so cool. We used to call it, we now are calling it traditional AI. Understand? It also has some very compelling use cases. And predictive AI only made the generative AI possible. Right? So understand predictive AI is, I'll give you some examples. So in predictive AI, what happens is you have some use cases. Use cases such as you can do pattern detection. For example, you are a credit card company or a bank. You want to understand that every person transacts in this way, but now this person is transacting in this way. That means there could be some anomalous information. That means that they might be doing some kind of fraud. Right? So pattern detection is something that was done by predictive AI. It will be able to do fraud detection in banking. Second example is, let's say you are Gmail or Yahoo Mail. Whenever an email comes, you understand the context of the content, and then you label it as either it's a spam or it's not a spam. Right? So that is also a use case of predictive AI. Right? After this, forecast. In forecasting, let's say you have already filled lot of data into your AI, into a predictive model. And then the AI can tell you that if you have made, let's say, 10,000 rupees or $1,000 sales in this month, next month you are more likely to make this number. Similarly, when you try to predict the weather, all the inputs of the past has been stored in these models, and they will try to predict what is going to happen tomorrow. Right? So that is predictive AI. It is going to predict, it is going to go ahead and predict what could be, let's say, the next probability. Right? And then there is something called as recommendations. These are the use cases of AI: pattern detection, classification, forecasting, and recommendation. Whenever you go on a reel on Instagram and you try to play that reel twice, or you try to do some interaction of like or comment or share or something, Facebook or Instagram understands that you are interested in this content, and they will start recommending you the similar kind of content. Right? Similarly, if you go ahead and create, let's say, buy something on Amazon, based on your past history, based on other people's past history, based on the product, they are going to recommend you that you can also buy this particular thing. That is called as upselling or recommendations. Similarly, on Netflix, when you watch something, they will go ahead and try to predict you what you can watch next. Right? So these are some of the applications of predictive AI. Some applications as in pattern detection, classification, forecasting, and recommendations. Right? Now you can understand that these are the solutions. Now you can understand that, yes, I had faced few problems. If this problem falls into this bucket, I can solve it with predictive AI. You don't have to use generative AI where predictive AI could be used. Right? That is the first part. So this is what happens basically here is, it will help you in supporting a decision. It will fetch all the data and it will go ahead and do some kind of predictions. Right? It is going to take the data and it is going to label the data. Right? So this is the first part, which is predictive AI. After 2022, when GPT released, there were some more advancement that happened. And then we had something which is very new, very cool, very progressive, and with high potential, called as generative AI. Generative AI, also known as contextual data generation. Contextual data generation as in, it can do three things for you. Gen AI can do three things for you. First is, it will be able to understand content. Whatever data or content that you give it, it would be able to understand. So it understands your questions when you go ahead and give it a prompt. Second is, it goes ahead and transforms the content. You can give it a full transcript and then it can give you the summary. You can give it some kind of images and it should be able to go ahead and edit the images and add something more to the images. Right? It will be able to transform the data. And third is, it would be able to generate new content. It would be able to generate new content based on the context. So if you ask it that please write, how would Mark Zuckerberg write a love letter to the CEO of Anthropic to get all of their people into his company? Okay, maybe Mark Zuckerberg would never do it, at least officially. And this data was never created, but AI will go ahead and do a job in order to write this particular email, right? So it can go ahead and generate some content based on the data that it has already has. Okay, so Gen AI is three things: understand, transform, and generate. UTG. Right? Now these are three pillars. Okay, everyone understand? If you have been able to, if you have, let's say, learned about physics in class 9, 10th, or 8th, you would understand that every light that we see on our screens, right now, if you are in front of a mobile or a laptop or a desktop, you will understand that it is made of pixels. And the pixels have only three lights: RGB. This is the fundamental. You can increase some R, you can decrease some B, you can increase some G, and then you will have a unique color. And then you can match all of these colors in order to go ahead and build a beautiful image or a video, like the session that you are seeing right now. Okay. Now, in AI product management also, you have to understand that LLMs can do these three things. They can understand, they can transform, and they can generate. Okay. And in the end, all of this is just data. What is data? Data could be text. Data could be some binary data. Data could also be a video. Data could also be an image. Understand what is an image? Image is just some data, like very long data, which is encoded into a particular format, which a software can understand. What is a video? Video is just combination of lot of static images separated on a different timeline, and some audio. Audio, images, video, all in the end is some or the other form of indirect text data. Maybe you can or you cannot go ahead and understand any text. Okay, so this is what AI can do for you. So it can take any data, it can understand, it can transform, it can generate. Now, because of this, there are so many applications possible out there. Right? So the possibilities with AI are: number one, it can generate the data, like core text data. And that data can be used for code. Because your code, whatever you are writing, understand every company in the world, every tech company, their major cost in terms of operations is the cost of salaries of their employees. Right? Is the cost of salaries of their employees. And most of these are coders who are being paid well. So now it has given a moment to everyone, that moment to every CEO and owner of the company, that you can reduce this cost because now AI can generate and understand code. Okay. Similarly, it can generate summaries of your transcript. It can also, rather than only understanding text data, it can take all of the data from your DNA, and it should be able to understand that what is the likelihood of you getting this particular disease, or how you can avoid that, which is called as protein folds. Okay. And ChatGPT does the same, Cursor does the same, Google DeepMind's AlphaFold does the same. This is only for proteins, this is for coding, and this is for your general text personal assistant. Okay, so this is the first use case, data generation. So if you are able to find some problems where you need to generate data in order to solve the problem, then you can use a generative AI model. Right? Second is image generation. Because I've told you, in the end, image is also some kind of data. It is also text or numbers. So you can generate images also. You can generate images, infographics, and some good examples are Midjourney, Leonardo, and many other software products which are using this functionality. The third is audio generation. For audio, understand audio in the end is also text. Right? So you can do transcribing, you can do music, and there are multiple great products for the same. Whisper AI, which is from OpenAI, is going to transform your audio into a transcript. Suno can go ahead and create songs for you in very melodious languages, in melodious songs. And then 11 Labs can go ahead and also do the voice sync. After this, we have video generation. Now you combine image and audio and data, you have video generation, clips, you can generate ads at scale, and then there are multiple softwares for the same. So here it is what is happening. You are giving it a prompt, and based on that prompt, it is going to understand, transform, and create new content for you. Right? So it helps you in creation and simulation, draft the loan agreement text. This is one example. Okay, so this is generative versus predictive AI. Right? So everyone, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 if you are able to understand this. Hmm. Wonderful. Great. Okay, guys, I was able to understand. Yes. So this is predictive versus generative AI. Also, everyone, I am going to give you walkthrough of most of these tools. Right now, we are just understanding the basics. Just by understanding tools, you will not learn anything. You have to understand the basics first, and then we will go ahead and slowly change the gears onto going to the tools. I want to make sure that once you know the tools, once you understand the tools, you should be confident that I know how this tool works at the backend. That is the purpose of this session. Okay, you should be able to understand at the backend that now this is the functionality of AI that they have been using. Right now, after this, yes, and also a very important thing, I'll repeat it again. Do not start with predictive or generative AI. Start with customers, their problems, business context, limitations, trade-offs, and then go ahead and see if yes, this is a good enough problem. Can I use predictive AI? Can I use generative AI? Can I use any other form of solution out there? Right? Don't be a guy who only has a hammer and then everything in the world looks like a nail. Okay, so make sure that you are able to go ahead and use it with your mind. Okay, and in the end, please everyone understand product management is common sense. You just have to apply your common sense. But the issue is common sense is not too common. So that's why we have to repeat it again and again. Right? Yes. Now, let me tell you. So I have told you that this is possible because of large language models and let's say generative AI. This is predictive AI, different kind of algorithms, different kind of models. Now let me tell you how the world has arranged itself in terms of what is happening in the generative AI. And if you want to add some value, where you can add this value. Okay, but before I could go ahead, two important things. This session will end mostly at 10 p.m. sharp. So we still have 1 hour and 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, right at 9 o'clock IST, we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. Okay, so after 20 minutes, we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. So if you want to drink some water, if you want to roam around, take those 5 minutes. Okay, right now you have to focus on the session. Okay, so we will stop at 120 minutes from now, but in the between, we are going to take a pause. At 10, I'm going to share a feedback form with everyone. You have to fill that feedback form in order to get all the resources and everything. Okay, yes. So let me go ahead and talk about the Gen AI value stack. This is very important, guys. Okay, this is like a mental model that you need to create in your mind so that you are not overwhelmed and confused with what is happening in the AI. Okay, so first things first. Yes. So first things first. Just give me a moment. Let me improve the audio if it is a problem for some people. Yes. I hope the audio would have been a bit louder now, right? Hmm. Yes. Okay, so let me go ahead. Hmm. I hope the audio is much better now. So let me go ahead and talk about the Gen AI value stack. Okay. So in all the AI ecosystem, there are four layers. The first layer is the infrastructure layer. Infrastructure means people who are letting you to run these AI applications or these core large language models. And they let you store the data, they let you use the computing power. Right? AI needs large language models. Generative AI needs large language models. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. But right now, understand that in order to host, run, store the data and these large language models, you need some solid infrastructure. And the companies who provide these infrastructure are at the foundation of this front. Some examples are NVIDIA, Vertex AI by Google, Amazon SageMaker, who have created a platform over the top of NVIDIA. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why NVIDIA is a bigger player here. Okay, so this is the first part, which is infrastructure layer. The second important layer is the layer that is just above the infrastructure layer is the model layer. These are the people who have done the true innovations in the last few years, and they have been able to create wonderful large language models. The forerunner is OpenAI, who has created GPT. There is Anthropic, which has created Claude. There is Google, who has created Gemini. And there is Meta, who has created Llama. Right? And there are some open source models as well, such as Mistral and all. But the core focus is four companies: Anthropic, Gemini, OpenAI, and Google. Right? Understand this infrastructure and training and creating your own models takes a lot of money. Okay, that is why it is generally not suggested to go ahead and maybe start building your own models from scratch. If you want to become an AI PM, I'm going to tell you a path in just a moment. But right now, remember, there is a model layer. Okay, I forgot two models. One is Grok by X, and the other model is DeepSeek. And China has been doing some great work on building these models. Right? So that is the second part. Now, based on the top of the same, because these models are created, now we are in a very important layer. This is where the value is. This is where you have to build products. This is where the value can be leveraged a lot. Okay. Here, this is called as an application layer, where you are understanding your customers and the problems and the business problems really well. And you are leveraging these large language models in order to solve those customer problems. So you might not be a data scientist. You are not creating your own LLM. You are not creating your infrastructure, but still you are leveraging these in order to solve the problems for your customers. Okay. Here you have utilities, you have use cases. An amazing example is Lovable. Lovable uses OpenAI and other models in order to help you create websites and web apps in moments. Right. Similarly, Gamma.ai websites within few minutes by leveraging large language models. So by itself, ChatGPT cannot do. Why? Because if you give the content, it will give you the content. The agent mode is also not very sufficient these days. So Gamma will give you the interface. Rather than focusing on all the use cases of the world, they understood that people want to create presentations. So they understood this is how large language model works. They built some layers on the top of the same, and they were able to create a wonderful application. They were able to create a wonderful application. Right? Cool. Yes. So we have the infrastructure layer, we have the model layer, and we have the application layer. Okay, just give me a moment. I think some issue with the mic. Just give me a moment. I think there is some issue with the mic. Just give me one moment. I'll see what I can do. Is the voice any better now? Okay, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Now, understood. Thank you, guys. This should be better. Yes. Cool. So now we have talked about the infra layer. We have talked about the model layer. And then we have talked about the application layer. Okay. I want to help you understand that remember that if you are a PM and who has not been fortunate enough to get a job into NVIDIA's and Google's and Amazon's of the world, you can still go ahead and create a lot of value in the application layer. Okay. And over and above the application layer, we have something else where you can create a lot of services. Services as in, now there are companies who understands what AI can do, and they have so many tools at their disposal. They go to the companies, they tell them that you are facing these problems, we can take all the problems and we can solve it with AI. These companies are not creating products, but they are building services. We have something called as an AI agency. If you click on YouTube, like search it on YouTube, you should be able to see so many videos around building your own AI agency. Right? So we have four layers at which value can be generated. Okay. Or value can be created. One is the infra layer. Second is the model layer, needs a lot of understanding of data science, computer science, and needs a lot of research, plus needs a lot of money. Application layer needs a very solid understanding of your customer base and your ability to build products, the product sense, right? And service layer needs a lot of agency, which is if you are willing to go ahead and help people handle them, then maybe you can also go ahead and create a very good service layer, right? But for the sake of this particular session, what we'll do is we will understand the fundamentals of these layers because even if you are into application layer, you still have to do a very good job at understanding these, because before understanding these, your foundation would be very, very weak. Okay. And second is, once we come to the application layer, I'm going to give you a lot of case studies. I will tell you how this product was made. I will tell you how this product was made, and we are going to break all the products. We will tear down and dissect the products. And then I will give you some tips on maybe if you want to go ahead and build your own agency, how you can do, but that would be a part of Q&A. Okay. Everyone, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5, if you are able to understand the Gen AI value stack before I could get into technicalities. Yes. Wonderful. Now, let me come to another interesting thing. Based on the value that I have told you, the value stack that I have told you, we now have possibilities of 3 kinds of PMs. Okay. So first of all, what is an AI PM? AI PM is someone who is either leveraging AI tools or AI technologies in order to make themselves more productive and achieve better outcomes, or they are building AI products where AI is a core use case, right? Understand that it is not that the AI product manager will always be called as an AI product manager, because if you are working in a AI-based company where they are looking to enhance their product with AI, no matter if you are being called as a product manager, your designation is a product manager, still you are implementing AI, right? So product manager who uses AI is an AI product manager. Who builds AI products is an AI product manager. Now I can divide them into 2 parts. First part is an AI enabled PM. PM, like 100% of people these days are using ChatGPT, Claude, or some other kind of system in order to make themselves more productive. So every one of us are AI enabled PMs. 100% of us are AI enabled PMs because everyone is using ChatGPT in some or the other way. If you are not using, you are losing out. Right? The second part, which we are going to focus most on this sprint, is AI product PMs. These are the people who are building core AI experiences. For example, people who work at the model level and at the infra level are called as core AI PM. So product managers who are developing databases such as infrastructure such as Vertex, databases such as Pinecone, and models such as GPT are core AI PMs. Right? And then there are second kind of PMs which are more in abundance, which are working on the application layer and the service layer. These are applied AI PMs. And some examples are people who are working on Notion AI. So there is Notion, a document creation tool, document management tool. Now they have implemented AI on the top of the same so that your documents can be easily created, easily summarized. So AI is one of the features of Notion. Similarly, Grammarly, ChatGPT, Lovable, these are examples where the product manager who is working on this product would be called as an applied AI PM. Now, look at a very good nuance here. Someone who is creating GPT is a core AI PM because GPT is a model. But someone who is creating ChatGPT is an applied AI PM because that's a product that is used by the consumers, a B2C or a customer facing product. Right? So these are the type of AI PMs. Now, everyone, can you tell me in the chat, which kind of PM are you right now? Which fits your definition right now? Tell me in the chat, please. Applied AI, core AI, applied AI. Wonderful. Yes. Yes. So the difference between AI enabled and AI applied is AI enabled PMs are just using AI technologies such as GPT, such as Claude, such as Notebook LM in order to make themselves more productive. For example, I want to create a product requirement document. I will write my requirement, I will do the research. And after that, I will give it to ChatGPT to create it into a good structure. So I'm utilizing these tools, right? The applied PM on the other end is people who are actually creating ChatGPT. They know that there is a model that can help us, which is GPT. Now I'm going to give it a good interface, and then I'll make sure that I can build some AI capabilities, and then I can sell it to people. And people who will use these applied AI, so applied AI PMs are building the products which are going to be used by AI-enabled PMs. And core AI PMs are building the products which will be used by applied AI PMs. Right? Understand the loop? Yes. Now, let us go ahead and talk about a very important thing. Okay, so now whatever we are talking so far is based on a very fundamental thing. Okay, so these AI-enabled PMs, AI, GenAI value stack, predictive versus generative AI, it is based on one fundamental thing, which is LLM or large language model. Okay, so now for the rest of the session, I will tell you about how a large language model works, what is pre-training, post-training, how does it becomes more civilized, and then I'll give you a lot of analogies. Okay, we will not go into the depth of the technical understanding because then all the 4 sessions would be not enough. But I'll give you enough understanding so that you are able to think about how to use and how to leverage large language models. Right? So what happens is, a large language model is nothing. A large level model is nothing, but it is an algorithm or it is a piece of code that helps you predict the next word in a sentence. For example, cat is an. I give it to the large language model. And as a core large language model, I'm not talking about bigger and application oriented large language models that like GPT. I'm just talking about a basic large language model. If you give it this is an, cat is an, and it should be able to tell you that cat is an animal, right? Or sometimes it can also tell you that cat is a mess or anything that you want, right? So this is what they do. When you give it a piece of content, it just generates the next probable word. And when you repeat it a large number of times, for example, you give it cat, it will generate is. Then you give it the whole thing. You will give it cat is. Then it will generate cat, it will generate n. And then you give it the whole context, it will generate cat is an animal. Next word. And when you do it this repeat number of times, you are generating two words, you enter two words, you get three words. Then you enter three words, you get four words. Then you enter four words, you get five words. So once a time, the words are being generated and created. Now we have taken a good predictive model. So what is happening is a predictive model tells you, like we have talked about predictive and generative AI, right? In prediction, what happens? It predicts what is going to be the next thing. So you take a lot of predicting model at once, you repeat it again and again, and then you are able to generate content. You are able to generate data, right? So this is a core of a large language model. Okay, a quick yes or no, everyone, if you're able to understand everything so far. Everyone, please, a quick yes or no in the chat. Yes. So we are only on the simplified things right now. We are going to go ahead and tell you some more details. Okay. So now, everyone, we will take a quick break of 5 minutes. Okay. Come back after these 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and help you understand the more nuances of large language models. Okay. Just this understanding is not sufficient. So we'll come back when this timer ends. Hello everyone, welcome back. Tell me a quick I am back in the chat if you are back. Give me a quick I am back in the chat if you are back. Cool. Amazing. Now let's go back. We are going to talk about some very important stuff. Yes. Just a moment. Yes, I have not started speaking actually. Just give me a moment. Yes, everyone who has joined the session, I would appreciate if you can go ahead and give us a shout out on LinkedIn. I have made a post just now. Yes, I've made a post and shared it on the chat just now. Take a moment to give it a shout out if you are getting the value from this session. Yes, cool. Yeah, so you can do it later as well. That link is going to remain. I'll share it on WhatsApp group as well. Now let me go ahead and focus on the important stuff. Okay, I hope everyone had a break. You are now recharged. Let me go ahead and help you understand the important stuff. Okay, understand it is not absolutely necessary for you to go ahead and understand how a large language model works if you want to become an AI PM. That is okay, but this information is going to help you in the long run. Okay, it will give you a lot of confidence. Okay, but in order to understand this, you need to focus in the session right now. Okay, so let me tell you how all of these things happen. Okay, so what happens is this is the general flow. Everyone, please focus in the session. Okay, so how large language models work is we have a lot of content, right? This content is breaking down in the form of tokens. Tokens are a numerical representation of words, spaces, and their combinations. Tokens are numerical representations of words, sentences, or small, let's say, spaces along with words. Right? Let me show you what token looks like. So there's a wonderful website called as Tick Tokenizer, which helps you understand how tokens work. Okay, so let's say if I write, today is the first day of AI sprint, me and you read it as this text. But computers can only understand what? They can only understand numbers, right? So before this thing could be inserted or given to a large language model for training or for usage or for inference, we have to, or the model has to, or a program has to convert this in the form of tokens. So now this sentence that I have written is actually converted into these tokens. So these are the tokens. Right? So what is a token? It is a numerical representation of a word or a combination of alphabets or spaces. Right? This is done so that the large language models, which are nothing but computer algorithms, are able to understand them. Right? So this is tokenization, and it is mandatory to do tokenization before LLM can take any kind of data. Right? So we have to always do tokenization. Tokenization is just converting this particular thing, let's say your natural language, into some numerical tokens. Okay, and it's a very standard format. OpenAI, Google have their own libraries, which you can use in order to convert your content into tokens. You can also use the website that I have just shown you in order to understand how tokens work. Okay, they make these operations much more optimized, right? So now what happens? We have tokens, and we give these tokens. Let's say I have a cat. A cat is an animal. Okay, so let's say I give this particular sentence till here, okay, to the large language model, and it needs to predict this or anything else. So it will be taken through a program, it would be converted into tokens, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. These tokens would be given to a large language model, and then the large language model will predict what is more likely to come over here. And that would also be a token, and that would be converted into natural language before it could be shown to you. Right? So this is like a basic working of a large language model. And this thing is done, let's say, 1,000 number of times in order to generate the whole books and the deep research that you go ahead and do. Right? But the major question is, how does the large language model knows that I should put animal and not something else? I should put, let's say, something like an animal and not something else. How do these large language models get their intelligence? So large language model is able to do this because of something called as training. Okay, so before I can tell you about the training of a large language model, I want to give you an analogy. Okay, so what is a large language model? Large language model is a long and very long mathematical formula. That's it. At a core, if I tell you what a large language model is, it's a very, very, very long mathematical model. Okay. Let me show you one mathematical formula. Okay. Y is equal to mx plus c. Can people tell me if you understand what this is? Tell me in the chat if you understand what this is. Y equal to mx plus c. Very good. Now, this could be nostalgia for many people. Like in 8th, 9th, or 10th class, you might have studied this particular sentence, which is y is equal to mx plus c, right? So y equal to mx plus c is what? It is a mathematical formula that tells you what this line is. So if you know this formula and if you know the value of m, if you know the value of m, if you know the value of c, you should be able to predict the value of y for a given value of x. Okay, so let's say you have a line. And now you want to understand that if x is here, what is the value of y? If x is here, what is the value of y? If x is here, what is the value of y? So if you know these parameter m and c, and if you put any value of x, you should be able to understand what is the output, which is what is the value of y. So this y is the output. And you can take any point in the space and you'll be able to understand if this point is on this line or not. Okay, so this is the output and this x is the input, while these c and m are called as parameters. Right? This is very important to understand, guys, because I am trying to tell you large language model like a 15-year-old kid. Not a 5-year-old, because that would be too basic, but I'm assuming that you are 15-year-old understanding of how this model works. Okay, so I'll repeat this again. We have something called as y equal to mx plus c. Okay, y so y is the output, x is the input, and m and c are what? These are parameters. Let's say we are starting from here. I do not know the value of m. I do not know the value of c. So what I'll do is, in order to draw this line, what I'll do is, I will make this equation. Okay. If value of y, let's say I already know that these are the 2 points that are on the line. I already know that these x comma y are 2 points which are already on the line. Okay. So I know that for value of y, 2, the value of x is 3. Right? This is something that I already know. This is called as training. I already know this. Okay. And then the value of y is 10 for the value of x equal to 5. Okay. So this is input, and this is output. I already know this output because I have already had some level of inputs and outputs already with me. So now what I will do is, I only have 2 examples. I have only 2 samples of data, x, y, just 2 samples. Now what I'll do is, I will put these into this formula in order to understand the value of parameters m and c. Okay, so what I'll do is, I will take value 1 and then I'll take value 2. Value 1 is y is equal to mx plus c. And understand, people, if you're not able to understand this, you have to focus. Okay, this is the level of mathematics that you are supposed to know if you want to understand large language models. And I would also suggest you that if you're not able to understand it right now, please watch the video again. Okay, it cannot get simpler than this, right? So we have a line formula y equal to mx plus 6. We already know some value of y and we already know some value of x. Our purpose is to know the value of m and value of c. Okay, so what we'll do is, y is equal to 2 is equal to m into 3 plus c, right? 2 is equal to 3m plus c, which means c is equal to 2 minus, which means c is equal to 2 minus 3m, right? This is the first equation that we have. Now the second equation is, we will again put our major equation that we already know. This is the equation of line for every line in the world, right? So y is 10 is equal to m. We don't know what is m, but we know that x is 5 and then plus c. So now here c is 10 minus 5m. Now what we will do, I want to understand the meaning of, I want to understand the value of c. So I will equate all the c's together. So c is equal to c. That means 2 minus 3m is equal to 10 minus 5m, right? And 5m minus 3m is equal to 10 minus 2 is 2m is equal to 8, m is equal to 4. Right? M is equal to 4. Similarly, if I put the value of c now, c is equal to 10 minus 5m, which is 10 minus 5 into 4, which is 10 minus 20, which is minus 10. So now y is equal to mx plus c has become y is equal to 4x minus 10. Now, just with 2 values of m, just with 2 values of x and y, now if you give me any value of x in the world, I should be able to tell you why. Because I have taken the 2 sample values and then I was able to find the value of m and c, which were just 2 parameters. Right? Now everyone tell me yes or no if you are able to understand this. Super important. Super important, everyone. Now, yes. Now you will understand the wonder of thinking in simple terms. Okay. You should be able to break down every concept so simply. Okay. because it is going to help you in your communication and understanding as a product manager as well. Okay, so let me tell you how we are going to use this. Okay, so now what we are doing is a large language model is nothing but a mathematical formula. A large language model is nothing but a mathematical formula. But that mathematical formula is so complex that it has almost 100 or more billion parameters. It has 100 or more billion parameters. Now, if I want to get the value of all of these parameters, what do I need to do? I need a lot of data for training. In a y equal to mx plus c line, I can only have two variables. So I can have two values of x, two values of y, two input, two output, which I already know. And then I can go ahead and extrapolate it by finding the value of m and c, any parameter. So now here there are multiple parameters. So what we will do is we will train on massive data. We will train on massive data. Okay, this is called as pre-training. So what will happen is, let me go ahead and tell you now all of this in the context of a large language model. Okay, so imagine large language model is just a very, very, very big mathematical model where you give it some kind of input, it will give you some kind of output. Okay, but the quality of output will depend upon how correctly these parameters are set. So you need to know the value of these parameters. So what will happen is, this is how the training works. And please look at this very, very carefully. Okay. So we collect training data. What is the training data? We crawl the complete internet. Let's say 40 billion or maybe 40 or 50 terabytes of data, all the text data, all the images data we have seen, and we have consumed. There is a website where you can get the complete download of this 45 or 50 terabytes. Okay, this is the data that you have. Okay, in our example, we have only 2 points of data, x1, x2, y1, y2. But now you have so much input and so much output. Okay, so your training data would look like this. Let's say your training data is a sentence that Eiffel Tower is located in France. Right? So this is one very small training data that you have. You will have billions of these rows and columns. Okay. So once you fill this, okay, you will fill Eiffel. This is the first token. And it will try to generate, this is the input. And this is the output. Then this whole is the input and is the output. And then this is the input and this is the output. So now we are combining a lot of inputs and outputs in order to train the data. Here, the value of x1, y1 and x2, y2 is nothing but the training data that we are giving. We already know the output, that because of this sentence, the next word after Eiffel Tower should be is located in France. Right? So we have the training data. What is training data? Training data is some input and output which we already know is correct because this is taken from the internet. Right? And now what will happen? Now what will happen? You have the training data, which is input and output. That data would be tokenized. It will be created in the form of numbers. And after that, some part from the data would be taken. Okay. And some part, what is the next word, is taken here. Okay. So I have, let me give you an example. Virat Kohli plays with. Okay. Virat Kohli plays with. I have this data in my training set. So this I will convert into tokens. I will put it here. Then I will put it into a mathematical expression. What is the formula? And then based on that, there would be some value of estimation of the parameters that maybe for these parameters based on, so initially when the LLM starts, it is going to start randomly. It will have any value of M or C or any parameters that you have. So it will start and then it will generate the next token. So it will tell you that Virat Kohli plays with maybe XYZ. It can tell anything because right now it does not have any calibration. So first time when you enter it, Virat Kohli plays with XYZ. Okay. And it will not only give you XYZ, it will give you some probability. It will tell you that after the sentence, there is 0.6 probability that XYZ will come. 0.2 probability that MYZ will come. And there is 0.01 probability that bat will come. Okay, so this is just random right now. Anything is happening, right? Nothing training has been done. We are just trying to train it for the first time. We do not know any value about the parameters. Okay, now what will happen is, we have got this bat. Here, the right answer is bat, right? Because you already know, you have taken the training data. That is truth. You have the output, you have the input. That is the beauty of training data. Okay, and now you will tell them that boss, the right answer was bat. And now your right answer is bat. So there is a difference. It should have probability of more than, let's say, 0.1. It only has a probability of 0.01. So now there is something called as loss function, which is your model is going to compare that was the ideal answer and what is my answer. And then it is going to recalibrate. It is going to recalibrate all the parameters again. So initially it took a random list of parameters, but with one iteration, it is now going to understand that maybe I was not correct. I should go ahead and do this. Now we will give it a next sentence. It will again improve. We will give it another sentence. It will again improve. And we will do this trillion number of times. And then after conducting so much data and so many things, it would now be able to go ahead and do better job at predicting the next model, and at predicting the next word or the sequence token. Right? So I will repeat everything once again. So what will happen is, we have a transformer or a big large language model where we have a good mathematical formula, but there are many parameters in this formula that we don't know. So what we'll do is, we will give it the data that we already have, and then we will let the model course correct itself. It will put some random values initially, then it will get the feedback, then it will put more random values, then it will get the feedback, and keep on doing this a trillion number of times. That is called as training. You will eventually have all the parameters and mathematical expressions set, so that if you are give it something good, it will be able to give you a better answer. Right? And it will give feedback from this loss function. What is loss function? Loss function is the difference between what is the correct output to what is the output that is shown by the large language model. Okay. Now, everyone, this was important. Tell me, please, yes or no, if you are able to understand this. Everyone, please. Cool. Cool. Yes. Now, understand, everyone. What I'm trying to explain you right now. The large language model is a phenomenal piece of technology. Humankind has worked for so many years to arrive at this moment. Okay, so don't think that it is so simple that you'll be able to understand in just one iteration. It's good that some people think that they were able to understand. But my recommendation would be that you should repeat this, like go ahead and watch this recording again in order to understand how it works. Okay, it is fundamental. If you understand if your fundamentals are clear, you'll be able to understand anything in the world. Okay, but you should definitely go ahead and repeat. And I will give you one more thing. Okay, and this is very important, everyone. So please listen to this very, very carefully. Okay, please listen to this very, very carefully. Okay, so I told you about the GenAI value stack. I told you about AIPM. I told you about training a model or how an LLM works, right? And most of you, like more than 95% of you, have told me that you are able to understand, right? But I do not trust, and you do not have to trust yourself. So my recommendation for everyone is, what you should do is, after this session, you should go to Chat GPT or any of the LLM agents that you use, and you should give it this prompt, that I have recently understood about large language models or Gen AI value stack. This is what I was able to understand. Write it down. Writing is thinking. When you write, you are actually remembering everything. You are able to build these neurons and connections in your mind. Okay. So write it down in front of Chat GPT and ask it that please rate my understanding on a scale of 1 to 10. Please rate my understanding on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. And then it will go ahead and give you some good response. Most of the time it is very nice. It is very civilized, which I'm going to tell you how it is, why it is. And then it will give you a 7 or 8. But it will be able to go ahead and help you critically understand what you can improve and whether your understanding is correct or not. Because I am telling you something, I have understood something, I am telling you something, you are understanding something, and you are going to tell other people something else. So I want to make sure that there is as little of gap as possible, and you are able to learn things very, very clearly. So please do this exercise after today's session. Okay. Give me a quick heads up if you're able to understand the exercise. Oh, wow. Amazing. Yes. Great. Yes. People, if you have any questions about all of this flow and whatever I have told you, we are going to conduct a Q&A session maybe in the 3rd week. So hold your horses. If you just complete the feedback form in the end, we will invite you to that feedback, to that session as well. Okay. So I will do a quick revision now before we could go ahead. So I initially talk about the agenda. I talk about 3 things to remember: mindset over tactics, celebrate curiosity. Information is important. Information is not as important as knowledge. You need to do action and reflection with knowledge. Action, you will act on the assignment that we'll give you. You will create your notes. And reflection is you will use Chat GPT in order to go ahead and give you the feedback. Okay. Don't miss this. Don't be lazy to not do this. Okay. And then we talk about generative versus predictive AI. But you are not able to understand that generative AI is also predictive AI at its root. It is also generating, like going ahead and predicting the next token. Okay. And then we talk about a very important thing, the Gen AI value stack, where we talk about infrastructure layer, model layer, application layer, and service layer. Most of the value, like 95% of people who are going to work here. Right? But it doesn't mean that you should not aspire for this or you should not learn this. Okay. And then we talk about type of PMs. I also told you the problem, how to arrive from the problem space to the solution space. Problem space is more important always than the solution space. Okay. And then we talk about how the large language models work. Okay. In 30 seconds, I'll repeat everything again. You have a lot of training data. What is the data? The data is data that is crawled from the internet. All the PDFs, books, Wikipedia, Reddit, Quora, Medium, any forum, everything. these companies have crawled all of this data. And then in this data, they convert it into input and output. Every sentence has an input and it has an output. So they are going to convert this into tokens because large language models are very efficient at understanding the tokens. Okay. And then these tokens, so if we have 5 tokens, 4 tokens we are going to send into input and 1 token we are going to send to output. Right? And then we will run this calculation with parameters and we will understand how good this data is. Does it aligns with the correct token? If it is not aligning, we are going to again correct the parameters. And if we keep on doing this again and again, we will have a well-trained large language model. Okay. Now, everyone, tell me on a scale of 1 to 5 if you are able to understand everything so far. Everyone, please. Such a large session that my chat has hanged. Great. Amazing. You guys are intelligent. Wonderful. Cool. Now let's go ahead. And let me tell you one more thing. Okay. So what we talk right now is called as pre-training. We have just got the random data from the internet. And I cannot understand how you guys trusted me when I told you that the data on the internet is very good and it is going to act as a good output and the input. Why? Because people can write anything on the internet, right? And if you go to Reddit, you'll never be able to go ahead and get most of the appreciation whenever you are going ahead and posting anything. So internet is opinionated. Internet is biased. There is a lot of wrong information on the internet, right? So we cannot trust the internet. That is why it is only the pre-training part. Now what we will do is, we will go ahead in the pre-training part, we have collected all the data from the internet and every source that we can find. Then we have done the training part where I have shown you the diagram. And now after this, you have a model that can only do the next token prediction. The model that is ready with pre-training and training that can only do the next token prediction is called as the base model. This is called as the base model. But base model, most of the times they are useless. They will tell you anything, they hallucinate like anything, and they will not be able to go ahead and solve your problem. They are not personal assistants. They are just base models. Okay. So now we need to convert this base model something into something which is helpful. Right? So what we will do is, we will convert this helpful model, this base model into helpful model with the help of something called as post-training. So what we do in post-training is, it is very simple to understand. Imagine when you were a kid. Okay, you were 2-3 years old. You have got the ability to see, to hear, to understand, right? Why? Because you have got some DNA and let's say something by observing your parents doing it. Okay, but still you are not very useful. You cannot be left somewhere to take care of yourself. You cannot speak. You cannot do a lot of things. Okay, but some of you, like I would not say some of you, but most of you, they have gone ahead and started interacting with your parents. Your parents started teaching you. So if you were born in a Hindu family, you started, let's say, learning about the Hindu books, then you became a Hindu. If you were from a Muslim family or from a Christian family, Catholic family, you understood those values. Some things were taught to you. You observed some books, some people, how they were behaving. And then that became almost your nature. Okay. And everyone has conviction. Like you go ahead and look at like 95% people of the world, they have a very strong conviction that yes, whatever I have learned, I have been learned from these books and from my upbringing, that is the truth, and everything else is maybe something
that I do not want to believe. Okay, that is the same thing with large language models. Okay, after pre-training and training, we have a baby who understands that he has senses, but he or she does not know how to go ahead and behave in this life. We need to give it morals, we need to give it values, we need to train them to make sure that they are able to behave as per our family. Okay, so what we do is, for this particular thing, we do something called as post-training. So if you want to make your children religious, you will give them religious books. If you want to make them, let's say, someone who is appreciating life and art, you will give them philosophy or art books. If you want them to become more logical oriented, you will give them mathematics or maybe science books. Okay, and not only books, you will interact with them. You will send it to better schools, you will go ahead and interact with them, you'll try to solve their questions. Okay, and let's say initially what happens is that if you go ahead and ask any question to a children like 3-4-year-olds, they will always try to answer that question. Okay, and they will also always ask you the questions. Okay, they don't have a word such as no in their vocabulary. Okay, unless you want them to eat some vegetables. Okay, so what will happen is, in the post training, we try to polish our model. So how do we polish? Very simple. How do you train a children? How do you train your children? You give them examples. You tell them that if someone does this, we now have to go ahead and respond in this particular format. Okay, so what you do is, there are human laborers, not laborers, but labelers, people who label this content. They have certain kind of output and input already with them. Okay, they again take the model. They do the tokenization of the right content that they want to train on, not the internet random content, but the new content that they have created that aligns with their policies. Okay, and then it will go to the token. It will again be trained, and now the model would be more better. So one problem that all the models were facing was they were hallucinating. Okay, hallucination is, model will give you the wrong information, and it will give you the wrong information with complete confidence. So how do you solve this problem? So the team at Llama from Meta, they did a very simple hack. They created a lot of questions which they knew that model does not know anything about it. And then they give the answer to the model that you should always respond. They give a sample answer that you should always respond. I do not know. I do not know. I do not know. Okay, and by doing this enough number of times, they were able to understand that hallucination in model has been reduced to a considerable degree. Okay, so this is one example how pre-training is used. Right? So in post-training, sorry, not pre-training, but post-training. In post-training, what we do is, we have our own policies. We create our own data, which we think is standard, is better. This is how model should behave. And then we try to train the model on that data. And then finally, we have something which is called as a good production level large language model, such as GPT. Right? And there is one more thing. If your large language model can only go ahead and predict on the basis of input and output that it is already giving, then why does it gives you some unique answers? Okay, why does it give you some unique answers? So understand, the next token that is generated. So if you ask ChatGPT one question in one tab and same question other tab, it might give you different answer. So how does it give you a different answer? So what happens is, when the next token is generated, only one token is not generated. It generates many tokens with different probabilities. That after the sentence, there is 0.1 probability of this token, 0.2 of this token, 0.01 of this token. And then it randomly picks from the top few items, so that every time it is able to go ahead and give you a better output or maybe a different output. Okay, for some people who are technical enough to know this, there is a parameter called as temperature, which you can give to your LLM or your chat GPT, and then it would be able to give you some more predictive answers. So it will only give you the top 1 or 2 outputs rather than going to the bottom of this particular thing. Okay, but if you don't know about this, No issues. You can use ChatGPT to understand about temperature in LLMs. Okay. Now, there is one more thing, okay, which is reinforcement. Maybe I'm bad with the spelling. There is one more important concept that you should know, which is reinforcement learning with human feedback. So when we give human feedback, then we are able to train the model, like post-train the model, make it better. Okay. So in reinforcement learning, what we do is, okay, if you people have ever, let's say, taken a mathematics course or mathematics book or any kind of physics book or chemistry book, you will understand that this is a pattern that it follows. Okay. Initially, you will understand the concepts in the book, all the theory plus the examples. After that, they will give you some questions. And for these questions, there are answers that are given at the bottom of the page or at the back of the book. Right? So what happens is, once you understand these things like the basics, you try to come up with the answer by yourself. You go ahead and follow a logic. And then you try to match whether I am correct or not. So rather than giving all the models, some verbatim responsive and input and output, what we do is we give models a question that how would you solve this problem? Okay. Or what could be the solution of this problem? And then we let it think. And then we give it the answer. And then whatever it has thought, whatever they are thinking, we are going to put it again in the model. So now model is able to think on its own. We are just giving the answer and the model will keep on thinking. And then we will pick what is the best path to achieve at this. So the model would be able to achieve at the answers from three ways: one way, two way, three way. You will look at what it has done and then you are going to tell it that yes, A is better. And then this data will become a part of post-training data. And you will keep on repeating these good inputs and good outputs. Your model will become more intelligent. This is called as reinforcement learning with human feedback. The human gives feedback. So the model is reinforced that yes, these are the things that I should keep on doing. Okay, so this is how large language models work. We have a lot of data. We convert the data in the form of tokens. Then we break them down into output and input. What is the output and input? Input is maybe few initial characters of the sentence, and output is the last few characters. Okay, then both of these things are sent to a mathematical equation. And that mathematical equation is executed and the parameters are set, are predicted. And then we will get the next token. We compare whether the output and the token are matching or not. If they are not matching, we are going to keep on changing the parameters as long as they are matching. Okay. And then we will keep on repeating this process with more and more and more data. And then we have a base model. But base models are not good enough. So we are going to take our own data, like good data, human label data, high quality data. And these days, like for example, if you consider DeepSeek, they have trained their model, like they have post-trained their model on the data that was actually created by GPT and other models. So they didn't even use a lot of humans. Okay. And then they were able to go ahead and build a very strong model at a better cost. Okay. And then you have a large language model. So now we have large language models and we are ready to understand. We have already understood how this particular layer works. Okay. Now there is one question. Okay. That there are two major questions. First is, why all of this is happening right now? Why didn't happen before 2020, 2022 or 2029, 2019? Okay. And also, why is NVIDIA here? what happened with NVIDIA that it is able to go ahead and get so much, let's say, benefit from all of this happening. Okay, so I'll tell you the story. So in about 2019 and 2020, till 2019, 2020, what used to happen was, let's say if I'm giving you a sentence, okay, that Virat Kohli plays with bat. Okay, or you can say that maybe Ronaldo plays with football if you are into that. So now if you understand this, Virat Kohli plays with bat. Before GPT and before everything, all the neural networks used to consider one token at a time. They will understand this token, and then they will try to predict the next token. Then they will understand this, then they will try to predict this. Because of which what will happen is that the data was not very much good. Because understand, if you are only having this much context, then your ability to predict the next word would be poor. Why? Because you do not have the context. You do not know the whole picture. Right? For example, here bat is actually a non-living thing. It is an instrument to play cricket. Okay. But if I tell you that the bat is flying in the sky, so now I am most probably talking about bat, which is an animal. Right? So understand, based on other parts in the sentence, based on the context, the meaning of bat has changed. Okay. Or another example could be, I am at the river bank. Right? So now here, because I have used river, the meaning of bank is actually the bank that is aside a river. I'm not talking about a financial bank. Okay. So now people were able to understand that if rather than dealing with things sequentially, what if we give complete sentence at once, so that every word, so now what will happen? Every word will understand every other word. I will understand that I am nearby M, so it is my meaning. I am this, I am nearby at, so this is my meaning. So every word will try to understand its own meaning, try to come up with its own meaning based on who are the other words in that sentence. Right? So I am a cat. Right? Or a better sentence could be, Kohli has a bat. Okay. And then I will write, Kohli has a bat. So now this Kohli, it will try to understand and derive its meaning by comparing it with all the words. Kohli has means yes. Kohli is an individual which can have something. Kohli maybe not so meaningful. But Kohli bat, then Kohli is a cricketer and maybe he goes ahead and plays with bat. Similarly, has is going to compare with Kohli a bat. Then A is going to compare with Kohli has bat. And similarly, all these permutation combinations are going to play. And when so many things happen in parallel, it is very difficult to not understand the meaning. Okay, a quick yes or no, everyone, if you're able to understand this. Initially, we used to do sequencing, but now what we are doing is, we are dealing with things in parallel. Okay, we are dealing with things in parallel. This is called as, this mechanism, when one word is looking and attending at every other word in the sentence, is called as attention. I do not only care about people who are nearby me, but I care about everyone else. I am looking at them, I am understanding them. This is called as attention. So in 2019, a revolutionary paper came and everyone should go to ChatGPT and ask it, what are the learnings from this paper? The name of the paper is, this was a paper from Google. Attention is all you need. Right? And this paper proved that if we want to go ahead and build better intelligent models, better natural language processing and generation and transformation, we need to use something called as transformer. So the algorithm, the kind of algorithm which has these abilities is called as a transformer. And can you guys tell me what is the full form of GPT? Can you guys tell me what is the full form of GPT? Tell me in the chat what is the full form of GPT. Yes, we will take 2-3 minutes more and then we will give you the feedback form. Yes, generative pre-trained transformer. Right? So GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer, which means it is a transformer. It's a transformer algorithm or a neural network which is pre-trained on a lot of data, and it is able to generate context or content or data for you. Okay, so that is GPT for you, and this is attention. Now, if you are able to understand, here, all of these things are happening in parallel. All of these things are happening in parallel. And for parallel processing, understand, I have created a metric. Metric has rows, metric has columns, metric has rows. Okay. And if you want to deal with data which in rows, columns, and matrices, and you have to deal with data in parallel, the best kind of machine to run these models, to run the transformers, are GPUs. Why GPUs? Because GPUs were initially created to run images and videos, to create images, build images, and maybe go ahead and portray or picture images, render images. Right? So NVIDIA was a graphics card company, where in graphics card, because there are so many, let's say, images and there are so many videos, there has to be a lot of parallel computation, and there has to be a lot of matrix multiplication, like manipulation and multiplication. Okay, so now when the transformer came, the best model for the transformer was actually GPU, like the best infra was GPU. And the best state-of-art GPUs are only present with NVIDIA, because they've been working on this for a continuous period of time. So they were there at the right moment, at the right time. And that is how they were able to become right now the most valued company in the world. So being at the right place, right time. So you cannot say that it was, let's say, completely decided, but it was partial luck and a lot of hard work. Okay. So this is about, yes. So this is about the large language models. Okay. Now, everyone, I have a request to everyone. Okay. That now tell me in the chat, please. I will take 3-4 more minutes before I could end up the session and I give you the feedback form. Everyone, what you should do is tell me in the chat, out of 1 to 5, what was your understanding of large language model initially and what it is right now? You can tell me 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, S, like this. First is the initial value. Right now is the current value. Wonderful. So I hope everyone was able to get the value of the last 2 hours that you have spent. Wonderful. That is what I was able to check. Amazing. Now, let me tell you about something. Okay, so now we have talked about the technology, y equal to mx plus c, generation, transformer, and everything. Now let us talk about building AI products. Okay, I have told you everything. But please do not forget where I have started this session. I told you that problems are always the most important part that a product manager has to start with. the users, the business. That is where you start. You do not start with a large language model. Okay. So how do you build an AI product? Almost 90% same fundamentals that you used to build a product, a normal product. Right? So whenever you build a normal product, understand, look at this. Okay, so these products, this fork with a chain in between, and this particular vessel, I'm not sure what do we call this. Okay. In order to create these, people would have used the right kind of plastic. People would have put the right kind of engineering. But still, these products are what? Can you define these products in one word, guys? Go ahead and tell me in the chat. How would you define these products in one word? Yes, very good. That's the term, useless. Useless. They could be a part of a design museum, but that's it. Okay. Similar thing happens when you start with technology. Okay. So always remember, technologies will come, technologies will go, people will make money, people will not make money. And the people who are ahead of the things, they will focus on 4 things. Okay. So there are 4 things that you should never forget as a product manager. Whenever you build a product, understand that there are 4 angles of building the product that is given by the legendary Marty Cagan. Okay. And this is true for every world. The first part is, whenever you create any product, first and the foremost thing is that product has to be valuable for the audience. If it has no value, why would anyone would go ahead and use it? Right? So what is the user problem or desire that you are solving? That is the first question that you need to ask. The second question is whether it is viable. Viable means, does it make sense for the business to invest in this opportunity? Will it give you returns, profit, retention? Will it solve any business problem? So this is from the perspective of the users. This is from the perspective of the business. And then you try to understand the usability. That whether this product would be usable or not. Understand, you can create the most sophisticated product in the world, but if it is not usable, then it is nonsense. You are losing out an opportunity. So the design of the product would be such that people should be able to use it easily. Otherwise, you'll not be able to play in the market among your competitors. And then we have feasibility, which is the technical feasibility of the product. Okay, so valuable, viable, usable, and feasible. The sad part is that when it comes to AI, people think that AI product management is all about going ahead and understanding the tech and doing everything. This is less than 20%. There are people who are much more better engineers than you people who can take care of this. But understand, an engineer can do almost nothing if they do not understand about value, viable, and usable. And you as a product manager bring these things. You as a PM, your number one focus is valuable, viable. Before you jump into these things, people will not reject you because you do not know this. They will reject you because you do not have this angle. Right? So how do you build products? You understand the product from the 4 angles. Okay. I will also share with you some understanding of, let's say, how to develop your product sense and everything. I'll share some free videos with you so that you guys can understand how to look at these things. Okay. But for now, this was the session, guys. I think we are right on time. I will request everyone to please go ahead and just give me a moment. Where are we? Yes. Everyone, please go ahead and submit the feedback form that I have shared in the chat. Okay. You can also, let me see if that is working. Yes. You can also go ahead and scan this document. Everyone fill the feedback form. Once you fill the feedback form, we will send you the recordings, the slides, and all the required sources. It is mandatory to fill the feedback form. Okay. Give me a reaction in the chat once you are done with the feedback form. Give me the reaction on that message once you're done with the feedback form. Yes. Yeah. People, if you cannot fill the feedback form because it is blocked or something in your area, you can copy this, send it to your mobile, and then fill it from your mobile. I'm sure you are using a data pack there. Yes. Everyone, please give me a reaction in the chat if you have done the feedback form. Yes, I hope everyone enjoyed the session. They were able to find value. Okay. Make sure that you do a quick bit of revision before you come to tomorrow's session. And tomorrow I'm going to discuss some very important things. I'll tell you in just a minute, like go ahead and fill the feedback form. In 1 minute, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, tomorrow, same time, everyone. 8 p.m. IST, 7:30 p.m. PST. Yes. Cool. So tomorrow I'll discuss this graph, how to build AI products. Okay. Tomorrow we'll discuss this. This is a super important thing. And we will also go ahead and talk about the next part of the session. If you people like the session, please go ahead, talk about it on LinkedIn, share the URL of the AI sprint so that other people can also get the benefit. Okay, we are trying to do this to make sure that everyone is not just a spectator of AI, they're able to understand true AI. Okay, someone has to do this job. Otherwise, we'll be afraid that AI will take our jobs and everything. You have to understand AI. You have to make yourself comfortable to the AI because that is reality. This is a small attempt to make sure that everyone in this world, as many as people who are, as many as possible people are able to go ahead and get the advantage from these sessions. These are completely free. All the content, all the things that are mentioned in the session would be available to you. Okay. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you go ahead and share this with your friends. If you like the session, make sure that you are able to comment, leave a comment in the comment box. And all the other sessions will also be available on the same YouTube channel, plus on your email. So you please go ahead and subscribe so that you do not miss the other few updates. Yes. So I hope everyone has submitted the feedback form. Yes, I'll again share the QR code if someone is left. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. It really makes me very happy when I look at the feedback and the love that you guys are sharing. It really makes me feel fulfilled that I was able to go ahead and contribute some value in these 2 hours. We'll be there for the next 6-7 hours as well for the next 2 weeks. Okay. Make sure that you understand and join all the sessions. We will do some question answer sessions as well so that all the questions are answered. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Bye. Take care. You have been a great audience. We'll be meeting each other very soon, tomorrow at the same time. Take care and have a great health ahead. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye. And make sure that you invite your friends so that they are able to get the most value from the sessions. Okay. This is free. This is for public to utilize the value. Thank you, everyone.